Everybody's talking about GTA 6. Everybody's talking about the reveal. Some people love it, some people hate it. I haven't watched it because I have my reasons. I don't like looking at stuff like that. When I want to play a game, I just wait to just play it. I don't like looking at reveals and doing betas and stuff. But nevertheless, let's talk about some things that has been going under the radar, and we tend to forget what's going on. Nvidia is sitting here doing their earnings call, and once again, they're not talking about gaming. They're not talking about the stuff. Everything is going to this AI stuff, AI slop, AI crap, whatever you want to call it. I'm not a big fan of it, but at the end of the day, this is what Nvidia is doing. And I want to talk about this because we got to understand where things are going when it comes to the plight of PC gaming or just gaming in general, because it's just not PC gaming. It's the way Nvidia is handling things is kind of detriment to where things can go further when it comes to gaming in general. So shout out to Jess Kinghorn at PCGamer.com. In this article, we're going to go and just skim through it. I'll give you my thoughts and opinions on it. Basically, it says, when I hear Nvidia, I think gaming, but after scrubbing through the company's latest earnings call, I'm not sure Nvidia investors relations team is thinking much about gaming these days at all. In fact, I had to go back through the records the entire year to find out when it was made one mention of in an earnings call. That's how little impact it seems it has on the company's bottom line. I don't need to say anything else outside of this article from that alone. That just goes to show you that they don't really care about anything gaming at this point, and they're just trying to push their graphics cards and and everything that they can to this AI bubble, which I hope that pops within like the next 5 minutes. I'm sick and tired of hearing about AI, and for me, I cannot turn around anywhere on the internet where it talks about this stuff, and I'm trying to get away from it, and it gets really annoying. Now, it says not to say that Nvidia isn't doing gaming stuff. They just released DLSS 4.5, and I don't even want to talk about it. DLSS 4.5, okay. DLSS 5.0 is getting horribly mocked right now, and I don't want to get into that. So yeah, whatever, right? I don't care. With that being said, Nvidia made $96 billion in total revenue in the second quarter of 2026, doubling what it made during the same period last year. Nvidia CFO Colette Stress, told investors the surge in AI demand is driving a global infrastructure build out supported by an expanded and diverse set of group opportunities, spanning hyperscalers, AI labs, AI natives, enterprises, and sovereign customers. That right there just tells me nothing. All that is telling me that they're just throwing money at stuff. They're not necessarily, I ain't gonna say they aren't, but these AI companies that are actually trying to invest in this stuff aren't really making a profit, and there's a lot of regret that's going on in these circles that they don't want to talk about, that these AI data centers and everything else that they're building around it is really not working in their favor. There's been other places where they've been talking about AI data centers aren't doing very well. All these other good things that are going, all these other bad things that are going on when it comes to people backlash with the AI data centers and all this other things that are going on the internet where people don't even like using this stuff to the extent where they want to make things, they make it seem like there's actually a good thing. It's not that big of a deal. People do not really like using this stuff, but hey, it is what it is. For those that are unclear, I'll explain the last part of the comment. Hyperscalers handle massive AI workloads, so they need a lot of infrastructure like data centers. That's exactly what I said. So all this stuff they're talking about, they're making all this money so these other companies could build data centers. So Nvidia is not the one that's like making the, doing what Amazon and Google and even Elon Musk with their, whatever that thing is called, OpenAI. They're not doing all this, or Grok, and they're not doing what they're doing. They're just selling the stuff to them. They're making a profit, but those guys aren't making money on the back end. So Nvidia, and they're eating good. They're eating really good. So let's look further down on this article. The
really brain melting thing though is that Crest adds that the company expect to grow revenue by approximately 70% in fiscal 2028, even in the midst of the RAM apocalypse. In fact, Nvidia feels that it would be making a whole lot more money if it weren't for the memory crisis it's contributing to. Yeah, I mean obviously, yeah, because you need RAM to run these data centers, and if the memory crisis wasn't a problem, they'll be making more money. If the RAM crisis wasn't a problem, we'll be making better PCs because we can afford it. Yeah, obviously, but the fact that they gobble up all the RAM, this is what we're dealing with. Even still, even in a supply constrained landscape, Nvidia is not expected for the demand for AI or data centers to slow down anytime soon. That leaves gaming out in the cold. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it does. So, like I said, I know where I live and other places there is a big backlash on data centers. One has not been wasn't approved because the people in the county really did not want it, and I don't know how big this is widespread all over the country, but hopefully it really gets to the point where people will have enough backlash or this whole AI thing just crashes. In fact, Nvidia no longer reports gaming on its own separate segment. Instead, this has apparently been bundled into the edge computing segment, which itself made $7.2 billion. Crest comments that these increases were driven by strong sales of Blackwell workstations, partially offset by slower consumer PC sales that were tempered by elevated memory and system prices. Bam! So basically, they put it in along with the edge computing segment because the consumer PC brand or the consumer PC sales aren't necessarily moving like they used to, but more of that money or the 7.2 billion was driven by workstations. Like people are like building their own little workstation to do whatever they need to do, and it's not necessarily because of PC gaming. That leaves us on the back end to be like, well, we just gotta pick up the scraps. It's basically what it is. So at the end of the day, um, they said the edge computing segment saw a 27% year over year increase, though this win still pales in comparison to all things AI at Nvidia or Nvidia. I don't say it right. It is what it is. But that goes back to what I'm telling you guys. Like they're making money on everything but gaming, and this is what we got to deal with. So I'm sorry that it's going to get worse because they're not going to slow. Excuse me, they're not going to slow down. They're going to continue to push this until the wheels fall off or everything falls apart. And for us, my own thing I would tell you is you may need to try to build your PC that you have right now to the best of your ability based on the parts that are available, or you need to upgrade and choose wisely what you upgrade. I just did that with my PC, and I, basically just going to rock out with the 9060 XT. I may upgrade to the 9070, or that is like a really big maybe because I'm good with what I got, and I know what I have here with the 9060 and the CPU I got. It's going to it's going to suffice me for the next few years, probably until like 2029 or 2030, because I don't see nothing that's really going to you make that leap because of all the shortages that we have now. And even if you're on console, if you're a console gamer right now, you hold on to your console. I made a video about that as well, where you just need to hold on to your console because of the simple fact that you don't know what's going to go on with these prices of these consoles coming up. And maybe even with the prices, it may not even be that big of a generational leap because of the problems that we have with getting supplies, getting parts. There's rumors out there right now saying that the PS6 may not be coming out at the time that they want it to. And we don't know what's going on with Nintendo because I think they're just going to stick with the Switch 2 for the next few years. And I'm not going to get an Xbox. As far as I'm concerned, your PC is an Xbox. I mean, I know Project Helix is coming out, but the way things are going on Game Pass on PC and the PC that I built, you're probably in good hands doing things that way compared to getting a Project Helix. But hey, either way, keep your Xbox Series, keep your consoles, and if you got a PC, build it up to the best of your ability because Nvidia is doing what they're doing and they don't care. And I wouldn't say look at AMD. AMD is probably in the same boat, but I haven't looked it up to find out, but I would not be surprised. But with that being said, You guys enjoy yourself. Enjoy the rest of your day, weekend, at night, wherever you're at. Enjoy yourself, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, y'all, I'm out. Peace.